So I am doing, or I'm going to try anyway, to do something different. I recently have a couple of light novels from Bungo Stray Dogs. I've read Dazai's Entrance Exam. So after I read one, I think I'm going to do like a little review of the light novel that I read. So I read this like a month or two ago, and I meant to do something like this, and then I just kind of forgot about it. So here we are. So I want to start by saying I really enjoyed this light novel. Clearly, how much of a Dazai fan I am, I'm going to get Dazai's Entrance Exam because, duh. And I know that they changed in the anime where this storyline is like the technicalness of learning Kunikita, which is great. It was a good idea in theory to get a concept of Kunikita, to understand Kunikita's character, to know what Kunikita is about. It's a good storyline to do it, but I agree with everyone else, especially after finally reading the light novel. I think they could have done something differently. Like, just some other type of similar, maybe, storyline to build up the character of Kunikita. Because there are things in here that I would have loved to actually see happen in the anime. Like, whether it's a flashback or, something. Like, Kunikita meeting Dazai for the first time, for example, would have been awesome to see, first of all. Because I just think that would have been really fun. I'm going to kind of just flip through some of the stuff that I feel like would have been really cool to see. We do see Atagawa and Kunikita's fight in the anime, which I was happy with. What is crazy to me is that it seems like Atagawa is looking for Dazai in this light novel. He really doesn't seem like he's looking for Dazai in the anime. It seems like he knows where Dazai is. Because I think he even says that when he fights Kunikita in the anime, like something about he was like a good distraction for Dazai or something. But the light novel makes it seem like Atagawa was looking for him, which I thought was very interesting that they kind of changed a little. The other scene that really bugs me, I would have loved to see Dazai trying to go undercover in that, I think it was a hotel if I remember correctly, trying to be like an author. Like, I would have loved to see this in the anime. This would have been so funny. Like, I think this would have added a little something to Dazai and Kunikita. Like, getting a flashback of this. Or even if they added it to the anime in general. Like, I think it would have just been so funny to watch. I also love the fact, or I find it interesting anyways, that not only in the anime is it Dazai is the one that tells Atsushi Ranpo doesn't have an ability. In the anime, in the light novel, they switch it to where he tells Kunikita during his entrance exam. But this isn't even like the same time he tells Atsushi. He tells Atsushi in Ranpo's kind of introduction of understanding Ranpo when Dazai gets found in the river again. That's when he tells Atsushi is like he doesn't have an ability, and he acts like that's when he found out. Like, he didn't even know. Like, that is when Dazai found out, oh, Ranpo doesn't really have an ability. But he apparently knew, according to this light novel. He knew basically as soon as he got there. Not as soon as he got there, but he knew. 2 years before Atsushi is even there. So, like, that's a big difference to me. He technically knew 2 years before, but in the anime, he just finds out, apparently. Which is wild to me. Another thing I really found interesting during reading this light novel was that Dazai, during, I guess, the timing of him and his exam, he didn't really have any backstory or any background because of, we learn later, leaving the Port Mafia, they had to cover his crimes and stuff. So he didn't really have much for like 2 years of a background, which makes sense. But it was very questionable to the Armed Detective Agency, and especially with his ability no longer human. like, Fukuzawa was like, just keep an eye on him, do what you need to do if he seems like a threat. And the Azure Messenger knew that, like, this is sketchy, like, I can use this new employee to my advantage, and tries to make it out that Dazai is a bad person. And for a little bit there, Kunikita actually kind of believes it, and points a gun at his head. And, I mean, Dazai the entire time is kind of just like, do it. Like, playing along, like it's actually believable that he is what he's saying. And then obviously, you know, it ends up realizing that's not true because he knew he was being framed very early on. And I think Kunikita might have had some type of understanding, if I remember, but it was still, at the time, confusing. But this scene would have been so epic to see in the anime. Rather it's a flashback, or if they added it for some reason into the story somehow. But it probably would have had to be a flashback. But this would have been so cool to see. Like, when this part came up, I didn't know exactly this part of the story. I think that would have just been so cool to see. It would have added as well, I think, to both of their characters. You know, it brings Kunikita, I think, to realize he knew he was being framed almost immediately. Like, that just showed the amount of Dazai's brain. Like, how smart he was, intelligent. And he played along with it because he knew they were probably being watched. So he just played along with that part. Like, he's playing that part of a bad person. Or who this thing was saying. Alright, notifications. So I think that would have been really cool to see. It would have really added stuff too, I think. I know this is already in the anime, but I am still going to say it anyway. I love their battle with this guy and the other one. When they switch places, amazing. Besides Dazai and Chuya are my favorite, like, partner duos in Bungo. But Kunikita and Dazai are probably second for me because I love both of them. It was a good light novel, first of all, I will say. I really enjoyed it. I loved seeing Dazai and Kunikita, especially after, if anyone's caught up with Bungo, like, we haven't really gotten a lot of Dazai and Kunikita since season 3, I think. Maybe even 2, if that. I don't really remember seeing much interaction. Anyway, either way, we haven't really seen a lot of Dazai and Kunikita. So, reading this and just remembering how goofy and silly and funny they both are, but also are both very awesome detectives, great partnership. Like, to see what builds them to become the top detectives that they are, and duos especially, like they are in the anime, is just awesome. But I hate the fact that the anime changed it so much to where it's during, like, meeting Atsushi instead of it being like 2 years before Atsushi. I don't really understand. I don't fully understand why they added it there. I get maybe it was just to bring, again, Kunikita's story, but you could have done that with any other thing. I feel like now, if you have the opportunity to do, like, a flashback of these two, what are you going to do? Like, it's wild to me. But still great light novel, though. Like, I want to believe this happened. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think if anybody hasn't gotten it, you should definitely read it because it's really interesting to see the differences. The next one I am probably going to do, I bought this today, is Chuya's little fun part, the Stormbringer. I did not know it was so thick, first of all. No one told me that. I'm very excited. I also have the Beast manga, but I don't have 4 of the last novel. Once I get that, I'll probably read them and then start doing it. But stay tuned for a review on Stormbringer about our little Chuya baby.